Okay, everyone. My name is Carrie Swar. I'm Chief Growth Officer for Urban Teachers and excited that you could join tonight. I do have many panelists from many different cohorts in all three of our sites, which is very exciting. They're here to answer your questions. They were all in your same shoes of being referred to urban teachers from Teach for America. So we know for a lot of you that is talking you back off the ledge, unfortunately, because I know TFA, Teach for America, really gets you very excited about getting into the teaching profession. It is not over. There's definitely a future with urban teachers. So I'm going to talk through just briefly 2 slides, and then we'll get into the questions. And folks who are on, you can pose questions in the chat tool. So I'll monitor that as we go. So that you can ask questions of folks who are exactly in your same shoes, who are now very successful in urban teachers, either as residents or I do have a number of alums on the call, and I've got folks representing all 3 of our sites in Baltimore, DC, and Dallas-Fort Worth, and I think 1 or 2 of you of your alums have moved on, if it's what I read in Salesforce, right, Brad? Yeah. so you can, yeah, and Jury. Great. So I will quickly here. So sorry for my panelists. You can listen to music while I do this. So one actually thing that the panelists may not know, folks who do make it through the TFA process and are not asked to join TFA after the final interview, we are now letting folks be pre-approved. So this is new this year. So folks just need to complete an application, and then they can join our program after doing their recommendations in a transcript. So this is a fast forward process for folks for the first time this year. So basically for recruitment here, all you need to do is complete an online application, and we will move you along in the process. We do still require a 3.0 GPA. That's what preferred. We are able to go down to a 2.75 for outstanding candidates. And I have a teeny window for a few additional folks down to a 2.5 if you're of a STEM major, STEM background. So that's science, technology, engineering, or math. Or if you are a para-professional, a substitute, or work with one of our school partners in DC or Dallas. Little window there for a handful of slightly lower GPA, but outstanding in every other way. So once you go through that process, you'll be able to join our cohort 2017. We are hiring folks for Baltimore, DC, and Dallas-Fort Worth. Dallas-Fort Worth is our newest site that opened this August. So we just have residents there now, and I have Stanley and Rachel on the call today from Dallas-Fort Worth, so they're the only residents who are on tonight's call too, so they can speak to that experience specifically currently. So once you're accepted and accept our offer, you spend the first year as a year-long residency where you're placed with the co-teacher, and actually 2 different co-teachers with the host teacher, and two different host teachers, and you co-teach with them. And I know at least Kier is one now, right? I saw on your file. There might be some others. Yep, so Kier can talk about what that's like. Some of the others may know, or for sure you know colleagues who have gone on to do that as well. So you are spending about 1,500 hours in real classrooms getting real experience while you're also getting a master's degree. We shifted, so our first cohort of residents this year are now going through the master's program with our new higher ed partner, that's Johns Hopkins University School of Education. So the residents can speak to that partnership. You're finishing probably 70 to 80% of your graduate coursework in that first year. There are 3 different programs of study that you can choose from: elementary ed, secondary English language arts, and secondary math. I think I just have on the call, actually I have all 3 of them represented. So if you have questions specifically about one of the other programs of study, there is somebody on the panel who is in each of them. Each of those programs of study also comes with a second sort of concentration and certification in special ed, so that everybody can speak to that work, whether or not they're teaching special ed or teaching in the general classroom. Another important thing that I'm happy for our panelists to talk about is the accountability. So there usually is a 3-step process to get into our program after an application. There usually is a digital interview, a final interview to get in. But there also is a very rigorous accountability throughout the program. So we do cut people all the way through. And so the white little boxes there talk about that you have to meet certain GPA in your master's, meet certain teaching practice expectations based on the teaching practice rubric. That our panelists can talk to what that's like, and really demonstrating high levels of growth mindset and professionalism. The residency year in particular is known to be very rigorous, and I know our panelists will talk to you about that. But it is by design so that by the first year of teaching, the second year in our program, you feel very prepared, or more prepared than you would have if you had not gone through our program or gone through many other teacher prep programs. So you move on year 2, you're a first-year teacher. You do finish your master's at the end of that year meeting, and then you have to continue to meet those high bars in the white there. Then you move on to year 3. It's your second year as a teacher with the classroom placement. So at the end of year 3 is when you get certified, and you do have to, at that point, also demonstrate you can improve student achievement with standardized testing. We can talk about that if folks are interested in learning a little bit more about that. And over those first 3 years, there's also over 100 hours of one-on-one coaching. So I hope that our panelists will talk about that experience a little bit too, because that's really, I think, another unique thing about our program, and that it's probably one of the most supportive teacher prep programs out there. And it's one-on-one coaching from your faculty to really hone in on your specific needs as a teacher. And then finally, 4th year, you'll won that last year of service, and many folks take on leadership roles. So I know some of the folks on the call have been graduate assistants, they've been summer mentors, host teachers, all those kinds of things while they're still with Urban Teachers and even as alums. So many of our old folks can speak to that as well. Then quickly, I just want to go over the finances. So I have this, I know, very busy one-pager, but it covers a lot with the benefits and the master's cost. So this is really important, since you're not, folks who are coming to us from Teach for America are not coming in to see a final interview day. We want to make sure that you understand the finances well. So bear with me as I run through this quickly. So the benefits is that in year 1, you get a $20,000 stipend. We also cover your room and board for Summer Institute. We will cover your health care through Johns Hopkins School of Ed. We cover your books and materials for your graduate degree. And then again, you're getting that 36 hours of one-on-one coaching. You're also eligible for federal financial aid. And this cohort, the residents that we have now and the folks coming in, also are eligible for Siegel AmeriCorps Education Awards. So that typically would come in the spring, and you could get up to 2 of them, and that's worth about $5,700. So that's very important. The costs, the overall cost for the master's and the program in general are $40,000, and we split that over into 4 payments over the first 2 years. So there's a fall, spring payment of $10,000 each. And if you take federal financial aid out with Johns Hopkins, you will get all the money in time to cover those bills, and then hopefully have almost $11,000 or almost $12,000 from AmeriCorps money to bring that cost down. Starting in year 2 is when you get full teacher salary and benefits. Again, we continue to pay for your books and materials, the coaching. You're also eligible for loan forbearance. So if you have prior loans, you would be eligible to put them into forbearance, actually for 2 years, those first 2 years. You'll continue to be eligible for financial aid, the Siegel Award also. And the second summer with the residency year, you do get paid for your summer instruction when you're teaching in a summer program. Again, those 2 tuition bills. Year 3, you get full teacher salary and benefits. In most school districts that we work with, there still is a bump up for earning a master's. So you do that at the end of year 2. So there would be a bump up in salary between year 2, year 3. You get over 18 hours of one-on-one coaching, and then are eligible for additional leadership roles as well. Loan repayment does start in year 3. And then year 4, the full teacher salary and benefits. And then the other thing I did want to mention briefly here is that all the districts we work in pay some of the highest starting teacher salaries in Baltimore, DC, and Dallas, Fort Worth. They also really believe in pay for performance, so that you would get paid more quickly because you are deemed effective. And each of the school districts do it slightly differently, but the same concept. And by design of being successful urban teachers, you should be more able to access those higher pay as being an effective teacher. One other thing I want to share is that we definitely are looking for folks who are interested in teaching as a career. And so there are other teacher loan forgiveness programs if you teach in high poverty schools. So you may be eligible for loan forgiveness up to $17,500 for teaching math or special ed. If you teach for 5 years, so that's 2 additional years beyond your urban teacher's commitment. And it's more like $5,000 if you teach other subjects, and you may be eligible for things like the Teach Grant that's worth up to $4,000 a year. So really can put it all together and make it very affordable. So that's quick and dirty, but I just want folks to really understand, since we are not seeing you in person for the other 2 selection parts of selection, we want to make sure that folks really understand our program and the finances. So I'm happy to also talk to folks offline individually if you have specific questions about any of this. But I did want to save the bulk of our time tonight to do a Q&A with folks in our program. So let's see. There are many panelists, which is so exciting, and some of you do know each other and some of you don't. But none of the folks who've tuned in tonight know you. So maybe we could go down the line. If you can say what cohort you were in, where you went to undergrad, and what program you're in, if you did any mentor teacher or anything like that. So I think Dre, it looks like, let's see, actually, let's start with Rachel. I'll go, I don't know what order you all see, but I see Rachel first. And you're muted, Rachel.
Okay, so my name is Rachel. Hello, everybody. I am currently in Dallas, Fort Worth, and I'm in my residency year. So I did my undergrad at Cal State Fullerton, and I graduated in 2013. I had some teaching experience through Jumpstart, but I was never really immersed in the class full time. I really liked it though. I like teaching. I love learning, which is why I like teaching. And I just like working with kids. So I'm in the elementary cohort, and I spend a full day. I go into second grade right now. Last semester I was fifth grade, so that was upper elementary, and now I'm in lower elementary. So I'm getting to see the difference there. And I spend my full day there. I get to work with the team, the whole second grade with the planning. I really get to get an idea of how the different teams plan and work together at the school, which is really awesome and a great insight to have. And then afterwards, I go to coursework with the rest of the Dallas-Fort Worth cohort, and we all go to one of the schools in Dallas, and we have all of our classes there. And it's we have classes every night. This semester, they've adjusted the schedule, so we have online classes Wednesday, and we have Fridays no classes. But it's a great opportunity to be able to talk about what's going on in the class with other cohort members and really get their feedback. Yeah, so it's rigorous. It's a struggle some days, but it's definitely worth it. I'm learning so much, and I really feel that I'm getting a lot of support and skills that I wouldn't get in other programs. So I'm really grateful for that aspect for urban teachers. So yeah.
Stanley, you want to go next because you are a colleague of Rachel and you're muted.
Okay, so excuse me. Yes, I am Stanley Ford, everybody. Also part of the inaugural Dallas-Fort Worth cohort. I just recently graduated from Texas Christian University in this past May 2016. I had a little bit of teaching experience. So I did junior achievement, if some of you are familiar, a couple of semesters. I worked with Children's Defense Fund Freedom School. So that was a program where I had a group of 10 Black males, and we gave them the integrated reader curriculum, which focused on helping them read literature that was written by authors that looked like them and shared their background. And then I also worked with children who had reading deficits or maybe had disabilities that hindered them from reading this past summer before I started the cohort. So I kind of had like a little different areas of teaching. I'm in the secondary ELA program, and my school is in Arlington, Texas. I think I answered all the questions.
Yep.
So far, Urban Teachers has been very great. I can attest to everything that Rachel said. It's definitely a struggle sometimes, but when I go to school and my kids are so happy to see me, it makes the struggle worth it, you know? So I'm gonna keep it short for now, but yeah, that's my experience so far.
Great. Okay, Jure, I see you next.
All right. My name is Jure Kelly. I was cohort 2012. I am not a teacher anymore. I am now in a doctorate program at the University of Maryland. I'm studying special education, looking at how social skills such as empathy and perspective taking assist in reading comprehension. And what else was I supposed to say?
You went to Evergreen. You moved very far.
Oh yeah, I went. Yeah, I did. I grew up in Seattle. I went to a really, really small liberal arts school called the Evergreen State College, and yeah, I guess I had a different residency year than what it's like now. But one thing that I can say about that is that Urban Teachers is very responsive to what their residents and fellows say about their experiences. Especially you Dallas folk, you're gonna have a lot of say about what's gonna happen. So that's really cool. It's really cool to feel that agency and to really have that. You know, you don't get maybe with things that are already established, such as TFA. But I'll stop there and keep my other comments for later.
Great. Brad, I see you next.
Yeah, so my name is Brad DeFaw. I went to Urban Teachers starting in the year 2012 and just graduated from the program last 2016. I studied secondary math in the cohort, and so now I live out in Chicago, Illinois. I work for a school called the Noble Academy, which is in the Noble Network within Chicago. It's the biggest charter school network here in the city of Chicago. It's also the highest performing. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm teaching 10th grade math out here. And I guess, my experience with Urban Teachers, I would just kind of agree with what's already been said, is that, I think for me, Urban Teachers was kind of a blessing in disguise, because I knew that I wanted to be a teacher, but I kind of saw my only route into that as a TFA. So when I didn't get TFA at first, I was really bummed. But, having worked with other TFA teachers in the schools that I've worked in, I can say that, Urban Teachers really does prepare its teachers much better than TFA does, in my experience. And so, to join Urban Teachers is to really make a commitment to the profession. It's not a program that is just looking for people to pad a resume and then move on to something else. It's really looking for people that are in this for the long haul of education, in my experiences. So that's kind of where I'm at. And like I said, everybody else said, kind of hit a nail on the head. It's a huge commitment. Know that you're in for some of the most difficult years of your life, for sure. But if you really are in this for the long haul of teaching, I can't recommend a better program to prepare you than this one.
Great. Here, I see you next.
Hey, everybody. My name's Kier. I'm in cohort 12, just like Jure and Brad. I would definitely agree with Jure. The program has changed a lot since 2012, and I know I would certainly say that the program has changed for the better. They're really responsive to our wants and needs. Being a summer mentor and a graduate assistant and a host teacher within the program, I've seen a lot of different sides of the program that not a lot of people have seen. So programmatically, it's probably one of the best that there is, considering how young that it is. And to say that it's one of the best is really just not to slight any of the other programs out there. Humbly, I would say it is the best, but trying to be we'll say, dutiful to the others. Anyways, I went to Drake University. I'm from Des Moines, Iowa, so I'm a lot of people's first from Iowa, so there's that. I really enjoy living in Baltimore, and I teach 4th and 5th grade English language arts. I'm secondary. No, that's not true. Whoa, that's not true. I'm an elementary cohort member and proud of it, and also proud of the special ed masters.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I got.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Asaya, and thank you, Brad. I was going to ask that, but good way to go. Asaya.
Hi, everyone. I'm Asia, and I come from cohort 2013. I graduated in undergrad at North Carolina A&T in 2009, and I kind of got into teaching. It just kind of fell in my lap because my family is made up of teachers. I have brothers that are a part of KIP, and my mom has been doing it for years. So I kind of got into teaching through art. I was a freelance artist, and I used to work with children from the hospital, and I would create works of art with them. And so that kind of sparked my interest in teaching because I was out of my chair and I was active, and I just like connecting with children. And so when I didn't get into TFA, just similar to what Brad was saying, like I was really bummed, and I was trying to find like what is another alternative route I could take that could get me in the classroom as fast as possible. And luckily I found Urban Teachers, or Urban Teachers found me, because they were able, someone sent me an email like, oh, Urban Teachers, try to connect with them. And so yeah, a lot has changed. My summer institute was spent in Baltimore, but I am with DC. And so I was placed in the early childhood program in DC, and I'm currently a 1st grade teacher at an all-girls school called Excel Academy. And I love it, again, connecting with children. And I think I answered all the questions.
Yeah. So I'd like to really talk specifically, and I think Brad talked about this, just really about like, when you didn't get into TFA, like how, how you made the transition to thinking like, okay, I can still do this career and do it with Urban Teachers. Like, really encouraging folks who are on the call that, it's not the end of the world if you didn't get into Teach for America. There is obviously, as you can see here, many of you who did not and are having very successful careers at Urban Teachers and very happy. So somebody you want to talk more about that specifically?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's a blessing in disguise, to be honest, because just, interacting with other members of TFA during my years at Excel Academy, they were there as just doing it something on the side, like just having some service years, but they never really, the teachers there, they never really looked at it as like a career. It was just kind of like just a path to maybe a doctorate program or law school, or so they never really hone in on the art of teaching. I feel like Urban Teachers, like you guys really cultivate the residents to be effective teachers, the data and the coaching and all the support, and you're also very responsive. Like you guys are very passionate in building effective teachers, and that's why you place us in certain communities where we're most needed. And that's why I feel like Urban Teachers was a better choice, why I'm still a teacher and want to continue to be a teacher.
Great. Anybody else want to speak to that specifically? Sheree?
I can't. I don't know how to like.
Yeah.
So
oh yeah, speak up if I am not picking on you.
So my final interview for TFA was really hilarious, actually, because I walk in and we sit down and we were having this conversation, and I went to a really small liberal arts school. It didn't have grades, it didn't have majors, it was very weird. But I really loved that. And so she asked me about it, and I thought I gave this like very eloquent, response about how grades aren't really representative and, whatever. And her response was, well, I think grades are really important. And I was like, I don't. And kind of knew I wasn't going to get in at that point. But, and I remember that so vividly because I realized like all of this hope that I had put into this program kind of like went down the drain. But then at the same time, I wasn't upset because I realized that it wasn't going to be the right fit for me. And one thing about TFA is it's this like hegemonic power, and it's the only teacher certification program that people know of, or it's the one that everyone knows of. So you want to do it. But really there's a few actually of these smaller teacher prep programs. Urban Teacher is the best one, but what you get is so much more personal. And I think, at least from my experience with other Teach for America people in Baltimore that I worked with, it's almost like, I don't want to say this because it has a really negative connotation, but they're just using them, right? It's not a family. It's not a supportive network. Maybe they would say it is, but not what I saw comparatively to what I had. And so I think it's really important to just kind of trust, have faith in that you're going to find the right thing. Hopefully that's Urban Teachers, and it was for me, and it just turned out so much better. I mean, I know 2020 is hindsight, but just comparing myself to my Teach for America comrades, I just feel so fortunate. So that's my spiel.
I think I would agree with Dre.
Yep.
Dre had said something really important, I guess, so to whoever else is on the call or this chat. I think the important thing is, what are you looking for in the program? And this, to me, isn't even me trying to sell you on Urban Teachers. It's just me trying to tell you to make a really good decision with whatever it is that you want to do. Do I want you in Urban Teachers? Absolutely. But it's about a good fit for you, like Brad said, long term. Can you find something that you want to do long term that you're going to be happy with? So my short version of this is, I went to TFA. I'm a TFA reject. I'm now going on 5 years as of this June in Baltimore. I can't see myself anywhere else. I did 5 interviews in the span of 7 days, literally flying from coast to coast, doing these teacher prep programs. There was only one program where I felt that they wanted me, and B, that it was warm and that the network was supportive. I distinctly remember, and won't forget anytime soon, that Carrie was like, what's really great is we can accept as many people as we want. And all of a sudden, everything that I thought was going to be nerve-wracking about doing that interview just was out the window. I go to TFA, and it's like what my friends in law school say. It's cutthroat. Nobody seemed interested in getting to know me at the interview. It was very cold, and it wasn't really warm. I go do the interview in DC with Urban Teachers. People are willing to talk to me that I have no idea who they are. I'm getting lunch with people that ended up being in my cohort in the elevator, and we're still good friends to this day. And Carrie was absolutely right. Like, the program just had the power to take as many as they wanted, assuming, they were, well qualified and good candidates, where TFA just seemed to be chasing numbers and almost brochure or catalog folks. It was kind of demoralizing because I thought, well, I guess I'm not going to be the poster boy. But like Brad and Dre, life is pretty good. And it's maybe the one rejection in life I'm kind of okay handling. I'm sorry if that was a little rambly, but Urban Teachers was just much warmer, and I just felt like this is the better home for me.
Yeah, I'll piggyback that a little bit with what Kiara just said. Something that kind of stuck out to me. And I guess I just hadn't really realized it now to this point, but just you guys are talking about just the community and the family element of this. That's so true. That's something that, as you guys, those of you who are getting ready to graduate school or, take on this journey, if you're like me, I moved to Washington, D.C., not knowing anybody. This was my first job out of school. And that's really scary as a college senior for me, or wherever you are in your life. And one of the things that was so cool about what used to be UTC, Urban Teachers Center, now Urban Teachers, is that it really is like a community and a family. And, you go through this really tough residency year in the first year. And if you get through that with the other people in the program, it really is a bonding thing that you carry with each other for your entire time throughout the program. Like I said, I just moved out to Chicago, and one of the guys that I met in Urban Teachers in DC actually moved out here with me because he trusted me and we had a good relationship, and I told him about the school and he trusted my opinion. So, that happened. I have two friends who were in the program who actually got married last fall, and I was able to actually be in their wedding, which was amazing. So like, it's just stuff like that I feel like, kind of like Dre was talking about, comparing it to programs like TFA, you're going to go in for 2 weeks and have a crash course in teaching, and then you might see the other people in that program once every couple of months. But with Urban Teachers, it really is something where you form relationships with people, and where like I got to see Kiera tonight and I'm super excited about it. And like, I just feel like that's really unique to this program, and that's something that's pretty rare in any organization, but specifically in teaching organizations. So just hearing you guys talk about that kind of made me want to talk about my experiences there as well.
Great. Okay, I'm going to steer the conversation a little bit. Though, Asaya, if you can talk about in the chat about what it's like to teach at an all-girls school. Somebody is interested in that, Asaya, if you don't mind typing that in. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep. So I wanted to, first I wanted you all to talk about the coaching and how that really works. And I know the residents, Stanley and Rachel, are getting coached right now. And I think all the rest of you are done with coaching, though I do know, Jure, when I did visit Baltimore, I think you got you had switched subjects, right? So I saw you. You shouldn't have gotten anything, but I know you were getting a lot from our folks because I happened to come in that day and I heard your story. So I love that story. You to share that story too. But Rachel and Stanley, if you can talk about how the coaching is working for you. In Dallas, if you can talk about that experience that you're having right now as part of our program.
Sure. Okay. So I was going to say which coach, because we kind of like, I have one coach specifically, and he comes in and he meets with me and he helps me plan. And he comes in and does observations and gives me feedback. But I mean, host teacher acts as a coach. My principal acts as a coach. The other second grade teachers act as like. We're collaborating all the time, and then I go to coursework and I can talk to my professors about it, and I'm getting a lot of feedback in a lot of different ways, which is really awesome because I like to talk, and that's how I figure things out. So it's nice to have a lot of different ears to really kind of like pick apart curriculum or pick apart different practices or just life in the classroom and the world of education, which is huge. So it's really there's a lot of opportunities for that feedback, and then it's nice to have my specific coach to go to email and say like, this is what's going on, help me sort this out, and he can really like take that information and sit down and walk over it with me. And it's not about like, at first I was kind of afraid, and this is another thing I was going to say, kind of like to piggyback off TFA, I was afraid of like, oh, am I doing it right, am I not doing it right? And there isn't really a right, it's just like doing it with all your heart. And so that's another thing I really like about it is for me personally is that I feel like I can do that, and there's a lot of support for me to do that. And so I can see myself growing, I can see my peers growing, I can see the teachers I'm working with growing, and the kids growing, which is the ultimate goal. So
cool. Great. Stanley, yeah, can you share your experience with coaching?
Oh yes, definitely can agree with Rachel how coaching is abundantly everywhere within the school. If you like walk into your school and you have a positive, upbeat attitude, everyone is literally willing to help you, from your principal to the APs to your host teacher. Everyone's just they want to see you grow. It's like they're invested in you, you know. And then for my coach specifically, she's wonderful. She I will say this: she gives me very honest feedback. But at the end of the day, that's what you want, because Urban Teachers is really about making sure that you are the best teacher you can be. And so they're also about the growth mindset. So knowing that you may not be at the level of mastery yet, but guess what? We're going to help coach you so that you can get there. And so I really appreciate my coach, how when she comes in to observe me, I don't feel anxious per se, because I know that what she's doing is to help me. And so I don't look at her as like, oh no, this is like another assignment I have to do. I look at it as in, this is my partner in my journey to becoming a better teacher, and she's giving me this feedback so she can see, so she can help me grow. and so that I can be the best teacher for my students. So coaching has definitely been a benefit. It helps me see things that I may not have. I guess made me see my grows and my glows, and I would say it's very helpful, and it's very helpful. I can't say more than that. It's very helpful.
So Dre, yeah, I saw you getting some extra later in your journey with urban teachers. If you want to speak about that a little bit.
Sure. So I had a lot of different coaches. I had I think one each year. I mean, which was good, and I had a positive relationship with all of them, and just mimicking what had already been said. And then I transferred schools my last year, and I went from teaching self-contained all subjects, 6th through 8th grade, to teaching 9th grade algebra self-contained, which I had no idea how to teach. So I just sent an email to one of the secondary math professors, and she just was there for me, and she's like, come to my classes, sit in, let me go over your lesson plans, I'll come in and observe you, just give you feedback. And that's just, it's such a powerful, motivating factor to be able to know that I have people that I can just send an email to, and they're going to be there for me, and my students. So yeah, and I just sat in on classes, and that was really neat. I don't know if anyone else has done that, but that was really beneficial. And there was something else I wanted to say. Oh, and that having this coach, especially during your residency year, and getting used to being observed, I think is not something people necessarily talk about. But for me, I was super anxious all the time about being observed teaching, and having that coach and that supportive role really just broke down that barrier. And when it came time for me to be observed, when I was a teacher of record my second year, I just felt so much more confident. So.
Great. All right, so I'm going to shift to the next. I wanted you all to talk about the benefits of everybody getting coursework and certified in special ed. So I think that's important. I didn't hear the last webinar I did, actually, some of you did self-contained, so obviously how that would benefit because you're teaching special ed per se. So I don't know if some of you are. So Dre definitely talked about your experience doing that, and obviously you're getting your PhD in special ed, so I do want you to weigh in at some point on this as well. But for everybody else too, if you can speak to the benefit of having that coursework in your general ed classrooms as well. So if you all could talk about the special ed component that everybody gets as part of our program, and the benefit of that in your work.
Sure. I think that with the special ed, coursework that we receive, I'll say there's a lot of stuff that goes on in a school that you want to be able to understand. So it's my metaphor or example might be if there's a language being spoken in your school that you don't understand, but you need to know that language in order to be effective at your job, you maybe want to brush up on that language. The special ed coursework that we take allows you to understand the ins and outs of special education, sort of the do's and the don'ts, and how do you service all of your students, honestly, that do have an IEP, that individualized education plan, and even students that don't. So, me speaking my truth is it's been really nice to work with the school psychologist and the folks in the IEP office and really understand the students that are in my class, how to best serve them in the general ed classroom. When resource teachers come in to push into my classroom and work with my students, how can I co-plan with them? It's nice to be able to read IEPs. It's nice to be able to speak cogently at meetings and to offer up suggestions to parents. So I just think that the coursework does everybody justice, so that you can speak the same language within the school, but not just speak it, but also speak it fluently, that there's a degree of understanding and mastery so that you can truly help your students, as opposed to, I know what an IEP is. This is an individualized education plan. What are the steps? How do you write one? Can you write one? You will. And what are the specialized tests that students have to take? And then can you take it because you got to administer it? So I think it's really helpful. And I'm a general education teacher. Yeah. I hope that was okay.
Yeah. Anybody else want to weigh in that?
Yeah, I think it's very beneficial to have special ed coursework, and then to couple that with teaching as an inclusion instructor. And what I've learned is that with special education, it really just like hones in on differentiation, finding ways to still like meet the objective, but in a way that reaches all students from every level, because, you know, all students' needs to be met. And I feel like special education kind of gives you, again, that vocabulary and gives you those strategies where you kind of can be an expert and give everyone that, you know, individualized education that they deserve. So I think it's a benefit, and that's one of the reasons why I really like this program, because special education is necessary. And I feel like to be an effective teacher, you need to know how to make those accommodations. You need to know how to modify your lessons so that you're not just teaching to like the target, you know, student, that you're teaching like students from all ranges.
Dre, you want to weigh in now? So, yeah, why you're doing what you're doing?
Yeah, I could talk about this forever. So I'll try and be succinct. So I was really drawn to the students with special needs when I was a resident, and so I was really passionate about it, because what I realized is that if you want to look at any injustice in the school, in the education system itself, look at special ed. And, you know, we can talk about race, we can talk about class, but what the power of special education is that it harbors all of that kind of stuff, but it also affects everyone, right? It's not exclusionary. And so it's a really powerful tool to talk to people about all of these different things and the way that we structure schools that are going to really benefit every student, no matter who it is. And so besides that, like, social justice rant, the second thing is that if you can teach special education children, you can teach anybody. And it makes you such a just powerhouse of an educator. And to have it on your resume, people are going to be like, okay, well, she's on top of the list, or he's on top of the list. So there's so many things that I could say about it, and it's fun. And, you know, those kids are, if you can get them on your side, they're going to be with you forever. And I really love it. So I don't know.
Great.
That's about it.
And then moving on, so somebody did ask about work-life balance, and some you were answering. So if there's anything more, I think that's a very important question I want you guys to address. And Urban Teachers, definitely, even one of its core values is living fun-filled lives. So that is for sure, even on the staff side, strongly encouraging that. And for sure, one thing that hasn't come out, I think, a whole lot, as you talked about the support at your schools and the coaches, but maybe not, I haven't heard you all mention so much the site teams. So I think that's a role that they definitely play. So maybe somebody talked about here some of the activities that have been planned. And I did hear that the Baltimore group was going to a winery, which sounded good. So that sounded fun. So if anybody else wants to weigh in on that specifically too. Work-life balance, which I do know in the residence here is not very good.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'll say I'm so old cohort-wise, it's a little hard to speak to what happened in 2012. Like I had typed, though, you know, I just stuck to a couple of rules that I know people kind of chided me for, like in bed by 10. You can always finish stuff the next day, sort of thing.
So I'll help you with that tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. I think simple rules for yourself. I mean, whatever I typed in the chat is very true, and things that I tried to do. I know Dre has always kind of, you know, even reminded me, as we're still pretty close friends now, about, you know, kind of staying, you know, mentally healthy, right? And keeping your mind off of teaching sometimes and not letting it consume you. And you've just got to do some things for yourself. Maybe it's exercising, maybe it's, you know, indulging in a hobby. But if you keep that and have the routine early, it's harder to break that habit or that routine the later you go. Dre and I were both summer mentors. I know that we both did some very fun things with our mentees. I know in Baltimore we scheduled a surprise water balloon fight. Like I said, I took my PLC group out ice skating. To laser tag one time. We got ice cream another time. We did a neighborhood walk. Just things to take their minds off of coursework just for one night. And their response was, we needed this. If you can do that step your residency year, you're going to be fine. But Brad's response is spot on, though. There's a reason why it's challenging, and it's because we want really great teachers. Like, we kind of need you to be phenomenal. And not we, the program, like we, the future students of the United States. They need you to be phenomenal. So it's going to be tough, but if you get into a good routine, I know I'm probably oversimplifying it, but you're going to be fine. You just need a good routine.
Yeah, I want to piggyback on that. I agree with everything Kier had to say again. But I just kind of also want to, something I didn't type that I'm kind of thinking about right now, is that, the other thing about, like Kier said, a good thing to do is to get a routine or a hobby outside of work. And so the good thing about these cities that Urban Teachers is putting placements and residents in is that they're all very young cities. Like where I was in DC, for example, is super transient and is just chock full of people who are just graduating college and is looking to, try new things. So for me, it was really easy to, join a pickup soccer league or a flag football league or to do different stuff like that, to be able to take care of myself, even if it was on a Saturday morning or, whenever. The good news is that the cities that Urban Teachers is placing you in are cities where those opportunities are available. Compare that to some of my friends who, are engineering majors, for example, and are getting their first job in the middle of nowhere in Nevada. Like those people don't have the same opportunity to go out and to play soccer with a random group of people that they've never met before. But for people that are joining Urban Teachers, those opportunities are readily available. But then, kind of like I said in the chat, teaching is a really tough job, and it is so easy to get overwhelmed by it and to not have that work-life balance. So ultimately, the responsibility does fall onto you to know that that is something important, and that is something that you need to purposely build into your schedule. Because, like Kier said, if you don't have a routine or you don't have any of those hobbies or anything else like that, it's very easy for the job to overwhelm you, and that's obviously not something that we want to happen.
Yeah. I may add on as a resident. Definitely have to agree that as we keep saying that the program is definitely challenging, but you kind of just have to own it. And so you have to really make sure that you set time aside for yourself. So whether that's like people were saying, find a hobby, whether you take the weekends off to just kind of relax, you chill with family or friends. I know what works for me is that I'll just I'll take time for me. I'll have like one day on the weekend that's just me time. And then the other day is like, I'll spend time with family and friends. I'll get out the house, make sure I'm getting fresh air. Like I said, it's just really on you to own it. It's definitely going to be challenging and it can be stressful at times, but it's about how you manage it. And if you are consciously making decisions to make sure that you are refreshing yourself, you're going to be okay, because teaching is a job in which you're pouring out into students. So you're literally pouring out your essence, your soul to these students. So you have to remember to charge yourself back up. So you have to do the things that you love in order to make sure that you can get up in the morning and do it again the next day. So that's my piece.
Great. All right. So I know we're winding down here. So one other thing I definitely want you to talk about, because a lot of folks are not from the cities that we are bringing folks in. So I do want you to, I want at least somebody from each of the cities to say what are their favorite things in the city to sell people to your city. Who wants to go first?
I wear cowboy boots to work. I think that's awesome. And so do other people. It's really fun. And line dancing, which is awesome.
Line dancing. Mm-hmm. Stanley, are you doing that too?
a little different experience, but definitely I'm from Dallas-Fort Worth, or specifically Fort Worth. So the great thing about being in Dallas-Fort Worth is that you literally get kind of two different vibes. So you get kind of like that country western vibe in Fort Worth, and you have like a more a youthful, more faster paced vibe in Dallas. The The nightlife scene is pretty good. If you're if that's your interest in Dallas, there's a lot of different locales and places like that. Food is amazing. In Texas, we have great barbecue. We have great soul food. So definitely, food is great. There's a lot of attractions, places to vacations. If you want to take a short weekend trip to Houston or Austin, like I'm about to do in a couple of weeks, take a quick trip to Houston. There's a lot of things to do like in Texas area. So I definitely say definitely come to Dallas for work. It's awesome.
All right, Baltimore, DC, who's next?
I'll go. So my favorite parts about DC were kind of what I already said. I really like how many younger people are there, especially if you are just graduating from college. It makes it so easy to, not so easy, but definitely easier than a lot of my other friends to transition into a new life. Really, there's a lot of other people who are in the same boat as you, as just getting jobs out of school, and so it is a city where there's a lot of other people in the same boat as you, and I really appreciate that. Another good thing about DC is the diversity of the city. There's so many different types of foods that I just never had even thought of in my life before, being from Ohio. And DC is such a melting pot of people that, you can go down the street and have the best New Orleans style Cajun food, and then walk 2 blocks next door, or two restaurants next door, and have like Amsterdam falafel, and just like, the diversity of the city is something that I wasn't really used to growing up in the suburbs of Cleveland. So for me, that was something that was a big point of personal growth, I guess, and something that did take some getting used to, but over time, I definitely appreciated it about the city.
Oh, I could talk about DC all day. Like, the colors of DC just gives me so much life. Like, I love DC. I come from Cincinnati, Ohio, so wasn't a lot of different things, wasn't a lot of diversity. So when I came to DC, I was sold for life. And there's so much terrain there. Like, you can go to the beach, that's only maybe 3 hours away. You can go to the mountains. It's definitely a bikeable city, which is really cool to see the different neighborhoods and just to get really acclimated into the atmosphere of DC. So I love biking in the city. It's very bike friendly. And like Brad was saying, the food is delicious. There's so much art there. There's so much street art. There's so much fine art. There's always something to do. And the music scene is great. There's great local artists. NPR is there. So there's always like things with the tiny desks, so it's just a fun, creative city. So trust me, you'll be so busy that you'll make time to go do things because all the artists comes here.
Great. All right, Baltimore, bring it.
I can start. I love Baltimore. I unfortunately don't live there right now, but
you're not too far away.
I'm not, and I still substitute in Baltimore, and I'm there all the time. Baltimore made me such a better person. It the diversity of the city coming from Seattle was incredible for me, but it's also just really laid back and. Really, it's like a small town almost, and you're close enough to DC to get the good stuff, but not like the pretentiousness that can come. No offense, but and so I really like that, and the fact that I can get on a megabus and be in New York in 3 hours still blows my mind. Almost 5 years later, yeah. And again, similar to DC, you can be to the beach, you can go to the mountains. It's outdoorsy. It's becoming more bikeable. And it's actually one of the best cities for restaurants. It's a fact.
Hardly chains. Homegrown ones. They're not chains,
Yeah. There's so many. And it's just the people of Baltimore are so amazing. And there's just so many things that you can be a part of. It's just a really communal city. There's the Ravens and the Orioles, and that's huge. Yeah, I really like Baltimore. Kier?
Yeah, I'm from Des Moines, Iowa, and I really love where I'm from. But maybe very similar to Brad, I think we've got a lot in common, right? We're kind of from these cities that don't have a whole lot of identity, but I know that Brad is very passionate about Cleveland, I'm pretty sure, right, and where he's from. And I'm really passionate about Des Moines. Now, I say all that to say that coming to Baltimore, I found myself calling Baltimore home in December of 2012. So if you remember, I'm from cohort 12. I moved to Baltimore in June. What is it? Maybe 4 or 5 months. My mom was like, "What are you doing? How is it already home?" And when I said that little piece right about how you feel, like right, the warmth of TFA versus what I felt at Urban Teachers, I'm just saying I have not looked back for a minute about me being homesick and needing to go back to Iowa. Baltimore is everything I need and then some. There's a neighborhood for everybody. People here are really great. I really like that there's sort of an edge about this city, right? We're this sort of old industrial city that people want to forget about, and we're not going to let you. And I just like that we've got a chip on our shoulder. We've got to prove everybody wrong about who we are and what we are. And I just like that we're fighters. It's probably not selling you on the city. I'm romanticizing it, but I'd love to have you here and I'll host you. It's a really great town.
Yep. Great. All right. I wanted to end with if you each can pick one question, I'm going to pull out two that I gave you. So if each of you can either answer what's been most rewarding about your work as a teacher, or you can give advice to people on the call. Pick one of the two.
Can I go first?
Sure.
Sorry, I have another thing, the same thing at 10. So what has been most rewarding? I mean, I already said this about Baltimore, but urban teachers in Baltimore are like very similar for me, and that it's just made me a better person, and I couldn't have asked for anything better. And now, I'm in this doctorate program, and as much as I want to say it's all my hard work, but it's really urban teachers. Urban teachers sent me the email that said, "Hey, I think that you should apply to this program." They were my reference list. They were on my resume. They were everywhere. So I think just the most rewarding thing is being able to say that I was an urban teacher, and it gave me the special education dual certification, which is now like my whole identity in my life, if you can't tell. And so if you let it will change you for the better, so much better, and better than you ever could have imagined. So
great. All right, that's worth. Yeah, I can hop off. Thank you. All right, Pierre, or whoever wants to go next. So most rewarding or advice, or both, if you want to do both. Who's next?
I can go, I guess.
Okay.
I'll give advice, and I'll just say the advice that I'll give to you guys is the same advice that I give to the folks that are in my PLC group that I mentor that are in cohort 16 here. I'm always reminding them to think about their why. And I even talk to my colleagues, veteran teachers, about what is your why. And if you're unfamiliar, it's sort of this idea of why are you getting into teaching? No disrespect to any other teaching program, and honestly, I'm not even on the line to, sell you on urban teachers. It just happens to be that I was free between 9 and 10 tonight. But my advice to you is make a list of the things that you want out of a teaching program. My list was I wanted to feel wanted, that I belonged, and that I really wanted to help kids. And I just wanted a warm feeling. One of those programs gave that to me. The other program didn't quite give that to me. I believe that its aims were there, but they didn't sell me on the belief. I just need you to think about what your why is. Why are you getting into teaching? What do you want from a potential or prospective teaching program? And then I need you to decide which teaching program out there is going to give you that. I need you to think long-term. I need you to think short-term. Be honest with yourself. There's no judgment. There's no disrespect. Are you in this because it's going to look good on a resume, but your long game is pharmacy school? You want to get your admin one. You want to be a principal. You want to, go to law school. If that's the case, there's probably a different program out there for you. If you're playing the long game, you want to be in teaching. Look, I want to be a lifer. I want to be that guy that, like, on my grave, it's going to be like, he died in school. Just thinking your life. And I'm trying not to eat up all the airtime, but I'm going to recap. I need you to think short-term, long-term goal. I need you to think about your why. I need you to think about what you want in a program and what program offers you that. When you get those answers figured out, I think you're going to be very happy. And if it's not us, I still wish you really good luck.
Thank you. All right, who's up next?
I can go. Okay, so I have advice. I'll do both also. My advice is to not be afraid. Just be yourself. Be honest. Trust the staff. Trust the people who are on the other line. They're with you. They're there to get you where you're going to go. And whatever you have, like whatever's going on, like education's awesome. Teaching is awesome. It is. Like there's ups and downs, but it's leading me into what I like about it. I honestly, I kind of like the struggle a little bit. I think it's really fun, and it's just fun being in the class and seeing the kids grow. I mean, even I was in 5th grade last semester, and I'm not in there anymore, but I see them, and like they've grown so much, like just in their thinking and them as people, and it's just really cool to be a part of that process. And education as a whole is pretty interesting, the field. So yeah, just do it. Okay.
All right.
I'll go. So I guess advice to prospective urban teacher applicants would just be to make sure that you're ready for it, and to make sure that if you're doing this program, to know that it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be a program that you can kind of go half-heartedly into. You really are going to have to dedicate yourself and most of your existence for a while to this job. The mission of Urban Teachers is to develop the best teachers that we have. And so if you're able to make it through the program, it's really awesome to sit here at the end of my 4 years of being in Urban Teachers and know that I really am part of this kind of elite group of educators in the country, and someone who can go to a variety of schools and teach in different school environments and different types of classrooms and different kids with backgrounds. And I know that I'm prepared to teach any of them and to get high results with basically any class that I've been given. And that's not something that happened overnight. It's taken years, and I'm still not all the way there yet. I continue to get better every day. But, for me, I guess my biggest advice is to just buckle up and get ready and know that this is going to be something that is going to be hard. This is going to be something that's going to challenge you to your core. It's going to be, especially in your first year, there's going to be a lot of jobs or a lot of days when you're just going to want to say, no, going to go home and watch Netflix. Like I don't know if this is for me, but if you can stick it out and you trust the process and the systems that have been set up by Urban Teachers, what's waiting for you there on the other side is kind of playing into that second question. The feeling I get going into work every day, so like the question was like, what's the most rewarding part of your job? It's me going into work every day, knowing that my kids care about me, I care about my kids, and we're really successful together. And that's something that I get every day. I walk into my job, and I don't know how many other jobs in the world exist where you can get that motivation and you can get that feeling of accomplishment on a day-to-day. And so, yeah, just know that it's going to kick your butt and like be ready for it too. But stick with it. And like I said, if you're able to make it through the program, you're really going to be part of a special group of people.
Great.
I'll go next. And I'll kind of answer both questions as well. So for me, the most rewarding part of this journey so far has been just that relationship building with my students. One of the things that you'll learn if you decide to come and that you'll learn at Urban Teachers they're very focused on making sure that teachers are building relationships with their students. And so that's part of being a expert teacher, is that you know how to connect with your students, you know how to make engaging lessons that are relevant to their lives. And so that's one thing that I pride myself on, is that when I walk in, my students are like legitimately happy to see me every day, no matter if I'm walking by and they're in math class, like, hi, Mr. Ford, like, hi, Mr. Ford. Like, I'm walking home just trying to get to my car. Hi, Mr. Ford, hi, Mr. Ford. Like, they're literally happy to see me at all times. And that just kind of warms my heart to know that I can be, a positive role model in someone else's life, and all while helping them achieve their own goals. And so my advice is that if you are looking for a program that you can kind of really be a change agent in the community, I really would put you towards urban teachers, because we believe that part of the solution in reducing education inequity is by preparing better teachers. And so not sending teachers who are unprepared to the communities that most need it. Actually, for the communities that really do need strong teachers, sending our strong teachers there. And so if you really want to be a change agent in the community, I definitely recommend you come this way, come this way.
Awesome. Okay, the last word, Isaiah. It's got to be
Yeah.
better than that.
Yeah, that was
very good.
that
Sam.
was pretty hard to top. I
Gotta
mean,
beat that.
so ditto to the advice.
Yeah.
As far as the biggest reward is, I feel like urban teachers reflects the demographic we serve. And I see a lot of teaching programs, and I see that these teachers, not to say that it makes the world of a difference, but these teachers, are disconnected from the communities. And I think urban teachers tries very hard to make sure that they have people that represent these communities or that can connect with these communities, because that's what they really need. You could be really smart and understand a concept, but if you can't build that connection and really reach their souls, it's hard for them to really learn a lesson, and it's hard for you to be an effective teacher. And I feel like urban teachers' biggest reward is that the people represent, everyone we serve, and it's definitely a life changer. It was a life changer for me. I feel like my girls are making more of an impression on me than I am on them. They just put so much faith in you, and just to see the love and the joy and their resilience that they come in every single day, it motivates me to just keep doing what I'm doing, and it gives me a sense of purpose. So thank you, urban teachers, for that. But yeah.
Great. Good. All right. I want to thank all the panelists tonight. You did a wonderful job. As I knew you all would. I appreciate it. I know this is late at night, and thank you so much for everything that you're doing. Y'all are amazing, and I'm glad to have known many of you for many years now. So and meeting new friends, Rachel and Stanley, today. You all are awesome too. And it is the people. At Urban Teachers. So that's why I've worked there for 6.5 years now, and seen the organization grow too. And we're just excited to have the biggest cohort coming in this June. And so please tell your friends to check us out, and hopefully everybody on the call will be doing their application tonight. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Good luck, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.
Good luck, everybody.